Day 4, Algebra 1-2. We got factoring trinomials where A is 1 today. Yesterday we did A is not 1. I think that to start with, I wanted to jump right into this. This goes with what we did yesterday, where basically when we look at these, we look at this top one. If we have all positives, then our two factor parentheses boxes are going to end up being both positives, right? And so I thought this chart would be good for you to have if you wanted to pause it and put it to your add it to your notes, just so you have it kind of to see a pattern here. Hopefully this might help you out. So, all right, so if it's all positives, there you go. All right, when C is positive, you notice on both these two signs are the same. So when you're on your table that you make, if they're both positives because of A times C, then they're both going to be the same sign. When this one's negative, that's when they're both going to be negative. Okay, so hopefully you can see that pattern there. Now down here, this is a little more confusing. Whenever C is negative, when you multiply A times C, you get a negative number. You're going to have one of each. Now when the B term, the middle term, is negative, the larger number will be the negative. When B is positive, the larger number will be the positive. So the large number always matches up with this sign. So then if there's one of each, if that's negative, this one's positive, this one's positive, this one's negative. All right, so this is not to confuse you. Like I said, it's just if you wanted to pause it and add that to your notes, thought it would be a good idea. So if you have any questions like that, about that, you can email me or send me a message on Canvas. Actually, it sounds like it's going to be the fastest way lately. And the good news is that today's work is actually going to be a lot shorter than yesterday's from day 3. So here we go. For number 1, we've got x squared minus 15x plus 26. So just to do what we did yesterday, we're going to take A times C, but today A is going to be a 1 out here. So for the first part, it's not going to change anything. However, here in a second, it's going to make things a little bit different. So with a positive 26, we got 1 and 26, 2 and 13. There's no other factors that work. We want things that add to the middle term. Even though this is negative, this is a positive. So this one, they're going to both be negative. So what happens here, if we split this up, I'll show you the full version here on number 1, but after number 1 today, the other 4 questions we're basically going to be done at this step, but I'll show you that in a second. X squared minus 2x minus 13x plus 26. So we do go into factor by grouping. Here we have an x in common, so we end up with x times, that's going to be x minus 2. Here now, with the negative in the middle, we factor out a negative 13, just to review this process. So negative is a positive 1x, and we get minus 2 there. We've got like terms, so we end up with our final answer being x minus 13 and x minus 2. Now, all of this stuff, the factor by grouping, we're going to be able to skip now going forward, because when A is 1, whatever these two factors are going to end up being in your answer. So see, there's a negative 2 there, x minus 2. Negative 13 there, x minus 13. One thing I forgot to mention yesterday is that if it's written this way, perfectly fine, but you could also take these two and switch them. Kind of, it's like a deck of cards. You have 2 cards, you can switch the order. As long as you have the same 2 cards, you have the same thing in your hand. So anyhow, you could have x minus 2 here and x minus 13 there and still be correct. Okay? So after this one, though, things are going to go a little bit faster here, as I hope you'll see. Just like I've said, anytime you can pause this, that's why I'm kind of erasing quickly and moving on to the next one so the video is going to get too long. But just to help yourself out, like I said, feel free to pause it or to send me a Canvas note if you have questions. X squared plus 9x minus 36. All right, so we'll show you not the shortcut, but the shorter version to the answer here. This only works when A is 1, though. Okay, don't try that when A is not 1 like yesterday. Can't do that. All right, so it's the same process. 36 has a lot of factors here. 1 and 36, 2 and 18, 3 and 12, 4 and 9, 5 doesn't work, 6 and 6. All right, so which of those by subtraction will combine to the 9? So not this one, not that one. This could work. This one has a 9 in it, but that would either be 13 by adding or 5 by subtraction. Those won't work. Now, that chart earlier, if this is positive in the middle, the larger column is going to be the positive, and since one of them has to be negative, that makes this one the negative. And 12 minus 3, that is positive 9. So what I'm saying is that we don't have to go through the whole factor by grouping funhouse. We can just skip ahead to the answer, which is going to be x minus 3 times x plus 12. All right, so these are quite a bit shorter. You don't have to go through, like I said, all the factor by grouping. Okay, so there's number 2. Let's go ahead to the next. All right, for number 3, this time we go x squared minus 17x minus 60. So again, we're going to go a times c, same process. Now negative 60 has a lot of factors. So as you get some bigger numbers, you just start with 1, okay, and then go as far as you can. So 2 works, 2 and 30. 3 works, 3 and 20. 4 works, 4 and 15. 5 works, 5 times 12. 6 times 10 works. 7, 8, 9, none of those work. So we got this big list, but you can use your calculator to come up with those. You don't have to just remember off the top of your head. Now, we want the one that combines by subtraction. Whatever this sign is, that tells us we want either addition or subtraction. This is negative, so we want the one that subtracts the 17. So we're going to want this one. However, I do want to point out, sometimes students get this one. Either of those two groups could combine into a 17. None of this other stuff would work. Okay, but these two, we could do 20 minus 3 or 3 minus 20. But negative 5 minus 12, some students will say that works. But what is negative times negative? Is a positive. We don't have a positive 60. So that's why you don't want that one. And because this is negative, the larger sign goes, or the larger number gets the sign. This will be positive. So if these are my 2, I'm going to go x plus 3 times x minus 20. There we go. There's my answer. Okay, so again, we don't have to do factor by grouping when a is 1. It's the only time that works. That one's tough. With this part is tough. Hopefully once you get that, get into here, like I said, that's short and to the point on these. Okay, moving right along. Number 4, x squared plus 13x plus 30. All right, once again, we multiply a times c. I like to draw the arrow so I don't forget. And so the students don't forget we got a positive 30 this time. So that means we want things that add to 13. You got 1 and 30. 2 works with 15. 3 and 10 works. 4 doesn't work. 5 and 6. So we got to look at our list. Which one will combine to 13 by addition? That would be here. 3 and the 10. Now the 2 and the 15 is close. But to get I'd have to do negative 2 and that doesn't multiply correctly. So that's why we want this. Now, we don't have to go through grouping. We can just go x plus the 3 times x plus the 10. So the 3 is here, the 10 is there. That's my answer. And like I mentioned earlier, you can mix up the order of these. We could put, as far as that, what I mean by mix up the order, you could have x plus 10 and x plus 3. These two are what we call equivalent. Equivalent means the same as. Okay? All right, last one. Like I said, feel free to pause at any spot. Especially when I have the information up here so that you can write things down. Like I intend these to be our notes, but I don't want to take too long. So if you need more time, just pause it. Okay? Last one. X squared minus 5x minus the 84. All right, so we're looking for something with a difference of 5 that multiplies into 84. So negative 84, because we get that from here. We got 1 and 84. We got 2 and 42. 3 actually does work, right? So just for example, if I get to that, 3 into 84, I have to think for a second here. It's going to be a big difference. So we're going to get, was it 28, I think? 3 times 28. Sorry, I have to do a little mental math here and not ruin the rest of the video. 4 is going to work. Right? 4 times 21. 5 is not going to work. 6 is not going to work. 7 times 12 works. And I think that's the last one. Because 8 doesn't work. 9, 10, none of those work. All right. So we want one that combines by a 5 or to a 5. So none of these up here are going to work. The only one that's close is the 7 and the 12. Now, because it's negative here, the larger column, whatever it would be, would have had to come from this column. This is the one that works, so this is the positive. So once we get through this part, our answer, we end up with x plus 7, x minus 12. And there you go. You get to skip to the answer, and you're done with that. All right. Let me know if you have any questions. Feel free. Send me a note on Canvas, but hopefully we're doing a good job with this. You guys have been doing a good job with the homework. Saw things went well today. So thank you guys very much. Stay safe out there.